This film narratives the terrible existence of Peter Gibbons, a programmer workspace tenant at Initech. Peter has a baffling drive, tedious collaborators, a pointless chief and a sweetheart that he's almost certain is undermining him. The main splendid spots in his day-to-day existence are his two companions at work, Samir, and the sadly named Michael Bolton, his laid-back development laborer neighbor Lawrence, and Joanna, a server at the nearby Chotchkie's café whom he reveres from a far distance. Subsequent to persevering through a morning at work comprising of monotonous censures about the details of TPS reports, the abbreviation as rarely made sense of, the hopeless office climate takes a strained turn when the representatives are educated that Initech is getting specialists to assist with further developing effectiveness. All the Initechers are anxious about talking for their own positions. However, Milton, a jumpy, murmuring long-term worker, is just worried that he will either be approached to move his work area indeed, or that somebody will see he's kept his darling red Swingline stapler after the organization had changed to another brand. Michael Bolton takes steps to release the infection he's been chipping away at, or join Samir in destroying the horrendous fax machine they're compelled to manage. On Friday, Peter endeavors to slip away early, yet is gotten by his self-important chief, Bill Lumberg, and as dreaded is mentioned to work over the course of the end of the week. Peter at last leaves the workplace and hesitantly joins his better half, at a meeting with a word-related subliminal specialist that she's trusting can assist him with having a more inspirational perspective on life. The subliminal specialist really does without a doubt get Peter into an exceptionally loosened up state, however experiences a deadly cardiovascular failure before he can bring him out. The following morning, Peter overlooks his morning timer, brushing off chipping away at Saturday and Sunday as mentioned. He likewise figures out how to rest through the 17 messages left for him by Lumberg. He accepts an irate call from Anne, who's requesting a clarification for his odd way of behaving. Peter answers by hanging up on her, and Anne answers by saying a final farewell to him and affirming that yes, she was undermining him. Peter gets back to bed until the end of the day. On Monday, rather than going to work, Peter goes to Chotchkie's. Lastly asks Joanna out for lunch. They get to know one another and he tells her of his arrangement to not stop, however quit going to work. They likewise find a common appreciation for the TV series Kung Fu, and a date is made to watch it later at Peter's condo. Peter then goes to the Initech office to recover his location book, and runs into Michael Bolton who educates him to return home rather regarding keeping his meeting with the effectiveness specialists, both of whom end up being named Bob. Peter concludes this is the open door he's been sitting tight for, and meets with the Bobs. He enlightens them plainly regarding his absence of inspiration and his dissatisfaction of paying all due respects to 7 degrees of the executives. He leaves the gathering feeling unburdened, hopes everything works out for them all, and the Bobs are appropriately dazzled. In the interim, Joanna has her own adaptation of Lumberg to manage. Her supervisor at Chotchkie's, Stan, he conveys his mistake about her wearing the base measure of style, the ornamental buttons and such, on her work uniform. He addresses that while the pizzazz is her chance to communicate her thoughts, she appears to be fulfilled in just wearing the base 15 pieces. Joanna, baffled, guarantees him she will accomplish other things to communicate her thoughts. The revamping at Initech is advancing. The Bobs are meeting with upper administration, and advise Lumberg regarding a few workers who will be given up. They likewise bring up that they found an inconsistency. Milton had really been laid off 5 years earlier, however through an error in finance kept on getting a check. The Bobs report that they fixed the error, and that Milton will as of now not be paid and will ultimately leave voluntarily. While they raise the subject of advancing Peter, Lumberg contradicts them, yet they fervently push back, and begin testing Lumberg on how long he's spending on those TPS reports. Peter goes through the following a few days hanging with Joanna and fishing with Lawrence. He appears back at Initech in line with the Bobs to figure out that in addition to the fact that he getting is an advancement, with individuals answering to him, a raise in investment opportunities, yet that among others both Samir and Michael Bolton are being terminated. He meets with his companions that evening and inquires as to whether the infection he's continuously discussing will truly work. Michael makes sense of that the infection will take the small portions of a penny that stay on each bank exchange and store them into a record. The robbery will be progressive to the point that it will require a long time before it's even taken note. The three companions concur that it's an idiot-proof trick, and choose to get it going the next day before Samir and Michael are given up for good. They additionally make a deal to avoid telling any other individual, despite the fact that Lawrence has heard every one of the subtleties of the arrangement through the condo wall. Peter guarantees Samir and Michael that Lawrence is cool. The arrangement to transfer the infection is executed with excessively elaborate intricacy, and the companions pronounce, "That was simple." After Michael Bolton and Samir are accompanied out by security, Peter takes them to a close-by field to offer them a going present, the fax machine that has been the most despicable aspect of their reality. Michael and Samir take out their dissatisfactions on the machine, thoroughly crushing it with their feet, a polished ash and, surprisingly, Michael's exposed hands. The day closes gravely for Milton too, when he's approached to move his work area into Storage Unit 2, and Lumberg takes his red Swingline stapler. That weekend, while heading to a party being thrown by an as-of-late laid-off Initech collaborator, Peter uncovers the money-grubbing programming trick to Joanna. In spite of his earnest attempts, he neglects to persuade her that what he, Samir and Michael are doing isn't taking. Once at the party, Peter finds out sadly that Joanna once laid down with Lumberg. He goes up against her with this data returning from the party, they contend, and she gets let out of the vehicle saying her past history isn't his to pass judgment, that it was quite a while back in broadcasts that he wants grow up. Peter then experiences a terrible bad dream in which he imagines Lumberg engaging in sexual relations with Joanna. Joanna's run of conflicts proceed. Her chief, Stan, again condemns her for not utilizing her energy to communicate her thoughts. Joanna chooses she's at long last had enough, communicates her thoughts by flipping him the bird, and lands terminated from her position. The following morning, Peter checks the equilibrium in the illegal money-grubbing trick record and finds it as a stunning $305,326.13. The three companions meet, and Michael credits the error to a decimal spot mistake. In the interim, at Initech, the unfortunate treatment go on with Milton. After he has prevented a piece from getting office birthday cake, this being the subsequent time, the straw that broke the camel's back comes as a solicitation to kindly feel free to deal with the cockroach issue in Storage Unit 2, an activity that Milton calls attention to as not being part of his set of working responsibilities, and the lights get turned out on him. He murmurs that maybe he'll torch the structure. Peter, Samir and Michael have been thinking about their concern of a lot of taken cash the entire day, and confirm that they are basically bad crooks. The threesome fear going to jail and being physically attacked. Before they dismiss for the evening, after Michael and Samir leave, Peter understands what he should do. If you want to know what happened next, watch the second part in this channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you enjoy it.